All right, good afternoon or good morning, I guess, depending on where you're dialing in from. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to be showing you how you can double your Dynamics GP excitement with these tools from Rockton Software. Quickly, before we jump in, just a quick introduction. My name is McPhilomy. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Njevity. I've been with Njevity for 12 years now, and I am passionate about helping Dynamics GP customers find solutions that make their lives easier, which is why we've invited Rockton to join us today. I know we have a lot of our customers that have joined, but I also know that we have some who may not be familiar with Njevity. So just a quick introduction to who Njevity is, and I'll start with our mission, which is to improve the life and success of our partners and customers by providing exceptional business application experiences that simplify, inform, and delight. Hopefully, those customers who are on see us living our mission day in and day out. For those of you who don't know us, this is our why. We are 100% focused on Dynamics GP. It's the only ERP application that we work with and support. We are based in Denver, Colorado, but we do have 30 team members that are kind of spread nationwide. You know, one of the benefits of COVID was a lot of us are virtual now, so we have support that ranges from coast to coast. We are celebrating 22 years this year, so we've been around a while. And again, we've been focused on Dynamics GP that entire time. We have been recognized by Bob Scott, Accounting Today in the FAR Top 100, as well as Inc. 5000. And we are also the creators of PowerGP Online. And for those of you who don't know what PowerGP Online is the right path to the cloud for Dynamics GP. There's a lot of noise out there about moving to the cloud and what that looks like for Dynamics GP customers. You have an option to move to the cloud that lets you stay on Dynamics GP and avoid an expensive, time-consuming implementation project. You can get to the cloud within days, not months. And again, because it is Dynamics GP, you get to keep all of your data, all of your ISV solutions, all of your integrations, customizations, all of the functionality that you've built your business on, but you also get cool new cloudy features that you expect from modern cloud-based ERP. I obviously don't have time, and that's not why we're here today to show and talk to you about those, but if you are interested in the right path to the cloud, I'd be happy to show you and talk to you about PowerGP Online, because at the end of the day, we're giving a really great cloud experience, but more importantly, you're getting that world-class security and ransomware protection. Think of PowerGP Online, because PowerGP Online is more than just GP hosted in the cloud. It's really built on these three pillars. It's unique in that we are creating functionality specifically for PowerGP Online. So things like PowerGP Banking, which integrates directly with your banks and credit cards, downloads those transactions so you can auto-match, multi-match. We've created an import tool. It's flexible in that it supports all ISVs. So anything that you currently have, we support in PowerGP Online, but it's also flexible in that you can extend integrations outside of the GP ISV community. So think things like Expensify, Bill.com, Power Apps. You can use our PowerGP Connect API to again extend those integrations and really use any of those tools that are available to you. And most importantly, it's secure. It's built on Azure Active Directory, the identity framework, so you get things like self-service password reset. You can add multi-factor authentication. The real driver right now, especially in this day and age, is security, and we have done a lot to make sure that PowerGP Online is the most secure option available for for Dynamics GP customers to move to the cloud. So why did I spend a little bit more time talking about PowerGP Online, aside from it's really, really cool? We do have a perfect partnership with Rockton in that we have 5 editions of PowerGP Online. One of them is bring your own license, which you continue to pay your enhancement. But we also have 4 subscription editions, which include Rockton SmartFill and Rockton Toolbox, things that we're going to be showing you today. So with that, a little tease into my next introduction. I'd like to introduce Blake Rockwell with Rockton, and Blake's going to be showing you some really cool things that you can do in Dynamics GP with Rockton products. Keep in mind, you don't have to be in PowerGP Online to use any of this stuff. You can use it on-prem, hosted in another cloud, in PowerGP Online. It doesn't matter. These are just great tools for Dynamics GP customers that will enhance your day-to-day. So Blake, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Hello all, my name is Blake Rockwell. I'm the technical sales team lead here at Rockton Software. We exist to help you work simpler and easier. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and share my screen here. It looks like we can see my screen. Do you guys see my screen? Looks like it should be okay.
I'm seeing it.
Awesome. All right, well, let's hop right in. So I'm Blake Rockwell. I am going to be your main point of contact for all things GP and Rockton. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, even your best joke, you can reach me anytime at sales@rocktonsoftware.com. I love to get back to you within the hour, and I always get back within the day unless I'm out of the office. So we do pride on, I do want to answer your questions. So please reach out if there's anything you need. But yeah, so today we're going to be looking at SmartFill, we're going to be looking at GP Toolbox, and we're going to be looking at Auditor. So let's jump right in. Let's start out with SmartFill. So SmartFill is our Google style search tool for GP. It basically lets you look up anything or all of your records in a Google style way. So for example, your accounts, but it works anywhere. Anywhere you see this little magnifying glass in GP, you never have to click that again and do those annoying lookups. Instead, you just type what you know. So if I'm looking for my cash accounts, I just type cash and I hit tab. And when I do that, it's going to pull up a list of all of my accounts that contain cash and either the account number, the account description, or the account alias. And again, I can set these up. I chose to set it up to search in the number and the description, but if you want to search for cash in other things, it can also find those results. It's totally customizable to what you want to do. But in this case, here's all my cash accounts. And another great thing of SmartFill is we have the column search, which is kind of like a second search. It lets you narrow down the field. So if I type petty there, it's going to search everything with cash, but then it's also going to search petty. And there's my petty cash account. So then I just click it, and there you go. I found my account that much quicker and easier. Another great thing about SmartFill is if there's one match. So in the case of the petty cash, there's only one petty account. So if I type petty and I press tab, it's just going to fill that right in because I only have one petty cash account. No need to click anywhere. Furthermore, I only have one 1130 account. So if I type 1130, that's going to pull up my petty cash account. Just like that. It's really that simple and it's that easy. And of course, this works all across GP, not just on your account. So let's hop over to our inventory and let's look up some of our items. Maybe you sell millions of items and maybe you have millions of item numbers that you don't want to memorize. I know I don't like memorizing item numbers. I just like to type in what I know. So I know I'm looking for a green item. There's all my green items, just like that. If I'm looking for my OM items, you just type OM. It's going to show me all the item numbers that contain OM, and also other tools for, OM is obviously contained in comp books, so it's going to find those too. And you can do the column search too. If I'm looking for something in the 8.5 with the OMs, here's my OMs with 8.5, and that will help me narrow it down. And of course, you can just search headset, really just anything. It's going to find those items. So that is SmartFill in action. Now, as far as setting up SmartFill, we can hop into our objects right here. Sorry, these are our shortcuts. Each of these colored R's corresponds to a Rockton product. The blue one is SmartFill. And if we hop into our objects, you can see where SmartFill is enabled. So SmartFill is looking up on all of these objects. And if we don't want it to search on our accounts, we just uncheck it. You recheck it. It's really that easy. So it's searching on our items. We don't want to search on items. You don't have to, but we do. So let's drill into, for example, our customers. Let's take a better look here. So in this case, this is how I have it configured. We have our tables, the field name and the display name. We have the search area and the display area. So what search means is whatever we're searching on this field. So I only have 3 searches selected. So it's only going to search for whatever I'm looking up in the city value, the customer name value, and the customer number. So it's not searching in the text field. It's not searching address 1. But if you do want that, you just click these search buttons. It's that easy to search or not search on there. And then furthermore, the display, you can see at the bottom here, this is our little test area. So you can just check how your thing is set up. So I just want to test my searching on my customers. So if I just do Vancouver, that's going to, since we're searching on the city, it's going to find all my companies that either have Vancouver in the name. So here's one customer, Vancouver's in the name. And then it's also going to find all of my cities with Vancouver. If I uncheck city as a search, then when I search that, it's not going to find those. So that is a cool way of how this is set up. And the test area just makes it really easy to test it all out. Let's look at another object. We have our items here. And our items here, we actually have a calculated field. And what's so cool about SmartFill is you can actually create these calculated fields where you can choose a custom field to be whatever you want. So in this case, I've created a custom field. It's called quantity available. And I believe this is calculated by quantity on hand minus quantity allocated is how this is reached. And this just exists so that if I'm looking up an item, like let's say my green items, I just want to make sure that I haven't, as you can see, I've already allocated 3 phones. So I want to make sure I don't actually sell 30 phones when I only have 27 to sell. So calculated fields are a great way to keep track of your inventory and make sure you're not selling stuff you don't have, but you can do whatever you want with calculated fields. They're really easy to select and set up. You just go calculated field, new calculated field, and then you go ahead and put your criteria, you name it, your format. You can do table field, table equals, the type, the string, whatever. So you just go in here and you set it up. Whatever you want, and then of course you can just clear these rows. Okay, so that is our calculated fields. These are our linked tables, and of course, yeah, that's most of the item right there. Let's hop into object access, which is going to be our items, actions, object access. So this just shows us when it's checked, anyone can search, but maybe you only want some users to be able to access the items and search on the items, for example. So this is where you could uncheck or check users and just make it so they can or can't see those items. And finally, with SmartFill, we do have the repository. This is your master list of all your lookups. And by default, I don't think I have, maybe I have 1 or 2 lookups added here that were custom, but you can see I have about 3,700 lookups. Those all come by default. So you do not have to go and set up these. When you install SmartFill, they're just going to be there. It's pretty much going to be everywhere you need it. You might have to add it to one place, but it's going to be here. So if you do need to add it, you can just go ahead and add a lookup. With our lookup creation wizard, you can modify lookups and of course delete lookups if you don't want them anymore. But yeah, that is SmartFill. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the question box or in the chat. Otherwise, I am going to move on down the line to our next tool, which is GP Toolbox. And GP Toolbox is this little red R right here, is where you will access Toolbox. And most of your tools, some of them are going to be listed on this menu right here, but many of them are going to be in the system settings right here. So when you go into the system settings, again, we have a sort of light switch set up here. If you want to turn on or off a tool, you just click it. Here's password policy options. It's now on. If I don't want password policy options, it's now off. It's that simple. Let's look at some of the tools though, shall we? User lockout, that's where we'll start. So I'm going to go ahead and enable it with one click. And what's great about Toolbox is it has a description at the top of what all the tools go, just in case you don't know what it does. It's going to give you a good idea. So in this case, this is going to be built on top of the default GP, which is that if you are trying to log in and you don't know your password, after 3 attempts, it's going to close GP. Of course, you can just reopen GP and go and log in again. So in that sense, you can just brute force your way into GP. So with this, we're actually going to make the login attempts maximized at 3. And if you type in your password 3 times incorrectly while user lockout is enabled, then your account is going to be locked out and no one will be able to log into your GP on your account, even with the right password, until the system admin comes over and frees you. So that's just going to be a little bit of a security help, I guess, so you can lock down your system. Let me turn it off to make sure that I don't accidentally lock myself out of my system right now. But that's user lockout. We also have security manager. That's one of our more popular tools. It's accessed on this panel right here. And I already have it preloaded. And this is what the window looks like. And the reason I preloaded this is we have, it's security in GP. And as you may know, there are so many tables. There's just so much security inside of GP that this window does take about 5 minutes to load. So I did go ahead and load that before this presentation. And it's nothing to do with like, oh, Rockton products are slow. No, it's not that. It's just that GP has so much security. No matter what tool you're going to use to try and load this, it's just going to take that long just because there is so much here. But what the value that Security Manager brings is it gives you one intuitive interface to view, manage, report on your security settings. So from here, I can actually go and edit this. So if I want Reggie to be accounting manager, I see he's not, I just right click and I change that to yes. And then I can right click and change it to no. So it's that easy to set up. very much like the on-off switches. We like things simple and easy here. And furthermore, we also have the import-export ability. So you can actually export right here. This is what a roles task detail sheet would look like, exported to Excel. And then from here, you actually just come in here and you can just change the lesson user from yes to no, and then you import it back in, and it will save that. So it's cool that you can actually manage it outside of GP. You can go ahead and just do your spreadsheet and then import it back in. And then you can also do it directly inside of here in the Security Manager window. You can also just load the roles and tasks and also the roles only to make your view a little bit easier. And furthermore, we have our other windows too. So that is Security Manager. It's just probably the best way that you can work and manage and view your security. Let's go back to our system settings and let's look at a couple other tools. We do have System Lockout. And System Lockout is kind of like user lockout, but it's just going to lock out the whole system. It's not going to wait until you log in or log out a certain number of times, or sorry, you fail to log in. It's just going to work on a schedule or a date-driven system. So if you enable System Lockout and you don't have a time frame, then when you enable it, it's just going to immediately lock out the whole system. So I do not advise doing that because then only your admin will get in. You have to go and unset that up. You do want to set it up on some sort of schedule. But essentially, it's just going to add you, give you some extra security in that people will not be able to get into GP at all, or users, while and also specific companies. I only have one company, but if you have multiple companies, you can vary it by companies. You're going to prevent them from logging into your GP. And so I have a lockout time frame. You can schedule that. I've scheduled it from 6 p.m. on Friday to Monday at 5 a.m. because over the weekend, I don't want anyone getting into my GP. So I've just had it locked out on the weekend. Of course, you can add extra schedules. You can edit the schedule, do whatever you want. It's for you to customize. Furthermore, we can include or exclude groups. So I've made sure that my admins, including SA and Harry Houdini, who I've set up as an admin, are never able to be, they're never locked out of the system. So my admins can always get in. And then also my account payable are locked out. So you can actually just customize it if you want some groups included, some excluded, or you want them to be included but with a different schedule, you can do exactly that. So that is System Lockout. Very good from a security standpoint to prevent people from getting into your system when you don't want them. Let's move right on down the line. We have pop-ups. You just enable it here, but then the setup is going to be done in this window, like I was mentioning earlier, some of the setups here. So here's a pop-up maintenance. This is where you're going to maintain your pop-ups. We have a couple types of notes. We have normal notes, we have my notes, and we have tips of the day. So a note is going to be for all accounts, and it's just going to pop up every single time on whatever window, in this case on the customer window. So if I open the customer, this window will pop up and it will tell me to make sure that the salesperson ID is correct. And let's go ahead and just see that, I guess. So if we go to wherever our customer is, which is in our sales, as soon as I open that customer window, there's my pop-up and there's my note. Hey, just reminding me, make sure that salesperson ID is correct when I go and input my stuff. Then we have my notes. Those are user specific. So only SA sees this. This is set up as an admin reminder. It's only SA specific. I'm just reminding myself to have a great day. And of course we have tips. Those are going to be seen for everyone. And what these do is these cycle. So if you have multiple, you see you have tip 1 and tip 2. The first time you open the customer maintenance, it's going to be on tip 1. The next time it's going to be on tip 2. So the notes they will always see and see first. And of course you can set the priority and the tips. No priority, it's just going to cycle through. And my notes, again, user specific. So that is pop-ups. It's just a great way to add little notes, little information or reminders anywhere in GP. You can add that to any window. It doesn't have to be the customer. As many pop-ups as you want, no limit on that. Let's check out batch review now. Batch review is awesome because you can just pull up your batches and pretty much do anything with them. So let's look at our inventory batches because I know the inventory batches. Let's look at inventory 1. It's only got one thing in here, but if I wanted, I can add to the batch. I can edit the transaction, I can delete the transaction, I can void the transaction, I can transfer transaction, and I can also move the transactions to another batch. So I just want to move, say, this to another batch. I just go from inventory 1 to, I think it's called inventory batches 1. They both have one transaction in them each. If I just go ahead and move them, you see now inventory 1 has none, but inventory batch has 2 instead of 1 and 1. Let's pull up inventory batch, yep. And so they're both in here. So very easy to move transactions between batches. I'm just going to go ahead and show you that in reverse. I'm going to move it from batch back to inventory 1, move, and now you see inventory batch is back down to 1 transaction, and inventory 1 is back to 1. So that is a great way. And of course, when you have your big batches, it kind of makes a little bit more sense because you can edit, you can delete, whatever you need to do. And of course, approve and post is also able to be done here. So that is batch review. A little bonus that I will throw in for you guys is with Toolbox also comes batch reset. In case you have stuck batches, this does exactly what you think it does. It resets those batches, helps you get those batches so they're not stuck anymore. And so that's just a really good tool. Now, what if you find yourself in a scenario where you want to reset your batches, but you don't remember that it's here and you also don't know how to get to the batch reset tool? Well, you want to use the reset tool, right? And well, really anything. What if you can't find anything in GP Toolbox? Well, we have a shortcut right here called Mentor, and Mentor stands for menu locator. So if I want to find batch reset, I just come in here and I type what I know batch reset. There's my batch reset window. Here's my reset batches. You can see it's not exact, even though it's reset batches, it found it with batch reset, similar to how SmartFill works. It's a contains clause. And you can see also the path of how to get there. So now I know it's under Microsoft Dynamics GP, tools, routines, toolbox, reset batches. So now I know how to get there. You can also drill back to get to there. And yeah, menu locator is honestly one of the most handy tools. I find myself coming back to this all the time. And furthermore, you can actually use it to set up security. And that's honestly, I don't even know if that's the best part. It just has so many good parts, doesn't it? But security is a very useful thing to do here, is that I can look at who has access to the reset batches window. So let's say I want to see what Harry Houdini's up to. So I can see, oh, he's got access. He's through accounting manager, AP clerk, and bookkeeper. So if he's not supposed to be these things, I can turn them off or on. Again, just like a light switch, you click it, it's on. You click it, it's off. So I'm going to turn it on, and then I'm just going to go ahead and turn it back off and not update my security manager, so that doesn't take forever to load. But that is menu locator. It's awesome. Again, you just type in what you know. So let's show up broken ones. So I just do like trans work. It's going to find my work transaction tables, for example, and my work transfer. So anything that has the word trans and work anywhere in them, it's going to go find those. So you don't have to know exactly what it is. I think probably REST-BAT would probably work too, right? Reset batches. Yeah, exactly. It would work. So again, just type what you know. We will do the rest. So that is Mentor. It's right here. It's got its own shortcut because it's so useful. And then we also have Mentor's little sidekick, Inspector, the little Sherlock Holmes hat and pipe here. And Inspector is very, very useful. It's going to give you detailed technical information in virtually any window in Dynamics GP, and it will also show you information in any of your dexterity-based third-party products. In fact, all of our products work with the dexterity-based third-party products, which is really great. And so it's going to show you the tables that contain the actual field, product, form, window, and column. So now you can find what you're looking for. And it's really great for smart lists, smart list builder, custom reporting, data research on Windows, just so you can determine where data is coming and going, and just so much more. It's really great for all of that. So to see in action, you just open anything like, I don't know, sales transaction entry, for example. When I open this window, Inspector is going to pop up right next to it, and it's going to give me all the tables. It's going to give me the window field info. Everything you need to know, everything you need to see is going to be right here. And this is especially helpful. I'm going to show you Auditor later today, but with Auditor, in order to set up audits, you're going to want to know the table name so you can find the table to audit. And the Inspector tool is going to be monumental in helping you find those tables that are not named well, or you just can't find them for some reason. Inspector is your friend to help you do that. So this is Inspector. As long as it's open, you just keep opening windows. Inspector is going to pop up right alongside you until you close it, telling you all the information. So that is Inspector. Again, working with Mentor, those are two of my favorite tools inside of GP Toolbox. Let's look at our system settings. I'll show you just, you can look, some of these are a little self-explanatory. I don't have time to go over all of them because again, there are 27 tools included in this one product. It is chock full of just content, just tools, just to help you work easier and simpler. And you will want most of these, I imagine, or at least some of them. Reason for hold is one I'll be sure to show you. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to force the user to enter a note whenever they put a customer or vendor on hold, just in case you have some user who keeps holding customer vendors. You're like, why are they doing this? This was a pretty requested tool that we built just so to give you some transparency. You have to put in a note. People can't put a customer vendor on hold while this is enabled without leaving a note on why they did that. So that's really useful. Another really useful one for those of you on here that have a ton of companies. Who has a lot of companies and dreads the end of the fiscal year? I know I do. Well, I don't have a ton of companies, but I always dread the end of the fiscal year. This is period open close. And if you had, I'm going to change it to 2022 so I don't accidentally mess up my my data here and close my fiscal year. But all of your companies would be listed right here. I only have one company, but if you had 100, you could just click this checkbox and it would check all 100. And you can also uncheck all of them. There's no limit to how many companies, and it's not slow. So if you have 1,000 companies in here, it's still going to be lightning quick. You just go over here and you either generate your next fiscal year, you open a fiscal year or a specific series, and then you can close a fiscal year or a specific series. You can also do it with a double click. So open, close, open, close. That easy to open and close your fiscal periods. This is borderline essential for those of you that have more than 5 or 10 companies. You'll find a lot of use out of this tool. And for those that don't find use out of this tool, I do have one tool that you will almost certainly find use out of. It is our most popular tool by far, and that is inactivity timeout. Inactivity timeout is great, and let me tell you why it's great. Yeah, it's going to inactivate, as it sounds like, it's going to kick people out of the system after a predefined amount of inactivity. But what's really great about this is you don't need to purchase additional GP licenses. So if you have like 30 GP licenses and you're always pushing up on that number, but you just have people that are forgetting to log out, there's not 30 people in GP at once, then rather than buying a 31st or 32nd or 33rd license, which is really, really expensive, as I'm sure some of you know, you can just buy GP Toolbox. And we have inactivity timeout. And so if anyone is inactive for whatever you want to say you want 1 hour, you set it as 60 minutes. You want it to be, I have it at 5 hours, that was 300 minutes. You can set it as whatever you want. And furthermore, you can also include settings by user group, and you can include or exclude them. So in this case, I have exclude my admins. I never want my admins to be logged out. It's only like 2 users, but I still have included my accounts payable. I've just included them with a different schedule because that's a little bit more sensitive. So I want them logged out after 2 hours of inactive time. So you can add as many users and set up as many schedules as you'd like. But ultimately, what inactivity timeout is going to do is it's going to kick people out after they're inactive and free up those licenses for you. And another important thing I do want to note is that this is a graceful logout. And when we say gracefully logged out, what that means is if you're in the middle of entering a transaction, you're in the middle of anything that is unsaved work, it's not going to kick you out until that work is saved. So you're just going to get an annoying pop-up. It's going to say, hey, you've been inactive. It's time to save your work and get out of here. And then that notification is also going to go to the admin, and the admin is going to see who needs to be logged out because they haven't saved their work, and then they can physically go over to their desk, or they can call them if you're in a virtual company and say, hey, why are you still logged in? Go save your work and log out. So that's really great. You're not going to lose your information if for some reason you're in the middle of something. So that's just important to note. That's the same with user lockout, or sorry, we have one other tool, not user lockout, system lockout. It's the same thing. It's going to be a graceful logout. If you reach the time period at 5 p.m. on Friday and you're still working, system logout is not going to delete your work. It's just going to wait until you save, and then it will gracefully log you out. So that is inactivity timeout, easily our most popular tool because you don't have to buy extra GP licenses, which are so expensive. So use this instead. But yeah, if you have any questions about GP Toolbox, I just want to point to the handouts in the webinar. You can go ahead and download that handout right there. That actually includes a list of the full 27 tools available for GP Toolbox. If you want to see some of the other tools I didn't get a chance to touch on, we have a lot of great content in there. So I would highly recommend just checking them out. Most of them have a short description and they're pretty self-explanatory, so you can kind of imagine what they do. But again, if you have any questions, you just reach out to me at sales@rocktonsoftware.com and I would be happy to assist. So let's move on right down the line to Auditor, our final product we'll be going over today. An Auditor is our auditing tool. It is going to track adds, deletes, and changes anywhere in GP and also in your Dexterity-based third-party products, and it even will at the SQL level in the backend. And this little purple R is your shortcut. I'm going to show you the audit groups. This is where you'll do most of your audit setup. So right here, you set up your audit groups. I have a couple groups already made up. One of them is my purchasing audit. So we have 3 different types of audits. Those are called form audits, which you may be more familiar with. The window audit, that's going to audit the immediate form or window that you're in, that immediate field. A table audit is going to audit that entire table, or in this case, like the window you're on. It will audit all the fields within that window. That's a table audit. And then we have the SQL table audit, which is going to do the back end at the SQL level, audit the table. And so you can see this is the table name, which is when the inspector comes in very handy because we can actually find that table name. So let's drill into our table audit right here and see how it's set up. So this is what an audit might look like. It's on our vendor file. We're gonna audit vendor information, and I'm gonna sort it by right here. We have our reference fields. Those are just what we're gonna see on the smart list. We're also going to have our audits. This is what we're actually tracking. So it's going to track any changes, ads. It's also gonna do ads and deletes. I've checked those, but you don't have to. You definitely wanna track changes though. And the changes are gonna be on the address, the trade discount. Yeah, you can read these fields here. Check name, contact name, and short name. So, and also the status. And if any of these are changed, it's gonna go to our smart list and we're gonna know. And the end user might not necessarily. The end user will know they're being audited if you require a note, because when you audit with a note, as soon as the end user makes that change and they press save, a little pop-up's gonna pop up saying, hey, you made a change and it requires a note. Give me a reason why you made the change, kind of like reason for hold on Toolbox. It's gonna make them put in a reason and say why they made that change. So you can optionally require a note. If you don't want the end user to know they're being audited, I would suggest not. But yeah, that's how that works. And furthermore, we have some options. So on the field name like vendor status, I can go into the options right here, the field options, and we have a couple things. One, I can notify the audit administrators. So now if that is changed, a little pop-up is gonna happen on the lower right corner of SA's account, just letting them know. And you can also email notifications to any email address, even not SA's email address, to let them know that a change was made to the vendor status. Furthermore, we have field mapping, and this is really useful because in the smart list, if vendor status was changed, you're just gonna see change from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2 or something like that, and you're gonna be like, what the heck is 1 and what the heck is 0? So if you use field mapping, it's just gonna map the value of 0 to inactive, 1 to active, which is what these fields actually mean. And so that way you see in plain English, the string value inactive, active, and temporary on your smart list. So you actually know what's going on. You can see, oh, John changed this from inactive to active. That's much more useful, at least for me personally, than 0 to 1. So don't forget to use field mapping if you just want your audit to be a little more easy to understand. So without that is our audit. We've got our notes, we've got field maps, and of course you can notify your audit administrators. So shall we see it in action? I think yes. Let's go ahead and go to cards, purchasing vendor, and we'll go ahead and do we'll make some changes and see if it's gonna track them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a travel company, and I'm gonna change a travel company to a travel co. That's the short names that will not require a note. So if I just press save, nothing happens, but that change was tracked. If I do a travel company, and now I change Tom Johnson to Ben Franklin, and I press save, now it's gonna pop up with this. This is the note window. So now the user knows they're being audited. They see this window pop up, and you can either have a drop-down list of predefined reasons, or you can type in a custom reason. So in this case, I'm just gonna say I'm committing fraud. And I'm gonna apply to display changes. So now you know. And that's gonna be the smart list. Let's go really quick look at the smart list. When you install Auditor, you're gonna get this nice Auditor folder, and it comes with this. You don't actually have to set up this smart list. It's just gonna come when you install this Auditor. So here's those changes. I changed to Ben Franklin for fraud. Here is a change at 11:34, which matches my system time. Here's that time I changed from travel code to travel comp. And then there was no note, which is why you see the note field empty. And if you remember, I also had a SQL level audit set up on the PM 00200 table, and that is right here. And so you can see that at the back end it's being tracked, and then it's also being tracked here. There's a couple audits in this list, like from yesterday, you might see something like this, where you're like, why is there no information? You see it's all blank. That's because that was an event type of delete. So adds and deletes don't have any information because they were added or deleted, but they are gonna still tell you that something happened. So that's what that means if you see one of these without information, and the ones with information obviously are just edits. So you can just drill back and look at these. It's really, really handy. Another way that I think is cool, actually, if we're looking at our vendors, we can find, let's look for a travel company. Sorry, this is annoying. There it goes. And you can actually view related audits. So if we go additional, view related audits, it's going to show me all of the audits. As you can see, I use a travel company a lot. All the changes, everything that I ever did with a travel company is right here in the view related audits. So if you don't want to go in the smart list and find them, you can actually just find them right here in the window. So that is a really handy way to do that. So we've got our smart list, we've got that. Let's go look at some of these system settings. So if we go to our R again and we go to the top, our system settings, this is where we're going to mark our auditor admins. These are the people who can actually set up the audit groups. So you don't have just anyone setting up audits. You probably only want SA or other administrators to be setting those up. And furthermore, this is also where you'll set up e-sign approvers. Now, what is e-sign? E-sign is a free additional product that is included with your purchase of Auditor. And Auditor with e-sign, e-sign is basically just going to password protect a field, and it's also going to make it have to be changed and approved by a different user. So a change that SA makes is actually going to have to be approved by Harry and vice versa. So let's look at that really quick. If we go into our e-signatures right here, I just have one signature set up right now, but you can set up as many signatures on any field you want. I have it set up on the payroll. It's a payroll signature. Oops. And I have SA, Harry Houdini as my approvers and my company. So you can go here. So now if I want to go see this in action, my payroll, I'm just going to go to HR and payroll. I'll go look at the pay code. And let's go make some changes to the pay code and see what happens. So I'm going to go find an employee. We'll take Pilar. And again, if we want to find Pilar, I can also just use SmartFill, which is a much better way to do it, right? Let's look at her salary. She makes $22,000. Let's give her a raise. She's going to make $25,000 a year now. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And even though I'm on the SA user, it's saying, oh, you want to make this change? Sorry. So I'm actually going to have to go to put my password in because I'm SA. I'm going to have to put in my reason from the drop-down list or just say raise. And then you also are going to have to go find your approver. So I'm going to go find Harry. He's not online. It tells me no. So if he's not online, if he was online, I could just hit the submit button and it would send him over. But since I don't have Harry open in my system, you can see we actually have this handy Q button. And what Q does, when I hit Q, it's queued for approval. So you can now close this window and continue with your other work. You will be approved. You'll be notified once your request is approved or denied. So I can now just go along with my work. And Harry is going to have a pop-up. So when Harry next opens GP, he's going to have a pop-up on the right saying, hey, someone got this change. Do you approve it? If he approves that change, he types in his password. Then on my end, it's going to say change approved. And this is going to pop up to 25,000. And then I can save it. And so that's how e-sign works. It's a really good checks and balance and is very useful just to be sure that people are not making changes they shouldn't. So if you want to make sure you have certain fields that are extra sensitive and you do not want changed, the e-sign is a great way to set that up and make it so people do not have access, or if they do, you want them to have access to view, but you don't want them to have access to change. It's a great workaround of just add an e-signature. Now they can't change it, but they can still view it. So that's just a really useful setting. Let's look at some of the other details of Auditor, such as the, let's go to our Auditor setup. Let's look at our archive purge. So if we look at our archive purge, you can see where we set up our data. If you have a smart list, right, you're tracking all these changes. Oh, here's my approval request. Let's say you're setting up all these changes, right, and you have a smart list that's just a year or two later, it's just gotten really long. And I do want to mention, people always ask about performance. The length of your smart list or the number of audits is not going to affect performance. I mean, minus the note. If you audit with a note, obviously the user has to put in a note, which is going to slow down the workflow. But it's not going to slow down your system. And having a bunch of data is not going to slow down your system, but it is eventually going to become annoying to deal with. And so we do recommend using the archive purge. You can come in here and you can say, let's say where the time is less than or equal to today. And that's going to take all of our old, I don't know why it's not finding it. Let's clear this and try just RSA date equals today. So it's not 1900. All right, yeah, now we can find one that equals today. We'll just validate it. That means it's a valid query. So the validate button is nice. Just be sure that what you're doing is going to work. You press OK. And now here are all my audits made from today. And I can easily just purge them. I can archive them to XML. And also I can import an old archive of audits. So you don't actually have to delete your audits. You can just save them and archive them for later use. which is good because I believe a lot of people want 7 years, and so this is good. So you don't have to have it in your system. You can just save it, keep it offline until 7 years go by. You can delete it forever. Let's move on down the line to segregation of duties. Segregation of duty is a great compliance tool because it's going to just show your conflicts of interest. So I have 2 set up right here. I have transaction financial 1 and transaction financial 3. They should obviously be exclusive of each other. You don't want people who are creating to be posting, but they are. And so this will show us that in the report. So when I print the conflict report, it's going to show me all these users, and it's going to say, hey, Dynas A has transaction financial 1. He can enter journal entries, but he can also post financial series. So this is an issue, and segregation of duties is not going to prevent this from happening. It's just a compliance tool. It's just going to be a helpful tool to help you set up your security. You can come and look at this report and say, hey, here's how it's currently set up. I know this is an issue, so you can tell your admins, hey, this is where we have issues and this is where I have to go and improve. So it's just a compliance tool. It just shows you where you have conflicts of interest. Again, it's not going to prevent anything from happening. It's not going to prevent these people from doing this. It's just there for your help, for your information as a report to show you where your duties need to be segregated. So that's just a helpful one to know about. And finally, before we close up here, let's go ahead and look at our journal voucher roadmap and our transaction lifecycle. These are just going to show us who created, approved, and posted transactions. So we're going to go to inquiry, auditor, and then journal voucher roadmap. So let's just go journal entry like 3400 to 9999, and let's redisplay. So here's all those journal entries, and you can see who was posted by, and you can see one of these approved by equals posted by. So if I click this up here, it'll show me a list actually of just the ones where the approved by equals posted by, or vice versa. I don't have any in this criteria, but these are where you would have conflicts if you have someone who's creating and approving or approving and posting. So this will just help you see that. It's a great way to look into that, and also just see who created, approved, and posted those, even if it's not the same person. You just want to know who did it. And then in a similar way, that's the journal voucher roadmap. We also have the transaction lifecycle, which is going to work on everything that the journal voucher roadmap didn't cover, your journal entries. So this is like your sales order processing, your receivables, your purchasing orders, and your payables. These are all going to be here. I can just redisplay. I got like 600 transactions. Shouldn't take too long to load. And this you can just see where's the posted by, where's the approved by, etc. So, and who's created by. So let's see where's created by equals posted by. So you can see I actually have quite a few where SA created and posted by. So now I know where I have issues. So very useful tool with an auditor there. But yeah, that is, I already showed you eSign, but that is all of auditor really. We have, you've just seen SmartFill, which is our Google style search tool. You've seen GP Toolbox, which is our collection of 27 tools to help you work simpler and easier. And you've also seen Auditor, which is our auditing tool, which includes eSign, which allows you to password protect fields. So if you have any questions at all about any of the products you've seen today, please add them to our chat box, or you can email me directly at sales@rocktonsoftware.com. Again, I'd love to answer questions same day. Just go ahead and shoot, even if it's a quick question or you think it's a dumb question, I don't care. You send it over to me. I would be happy to help you in any way you need. And without further ado, I will hand it back over to Mike. Thanks so much for having me on today, Mike.
All right, awesome stuff, Blake. We really appreciate it. We'll give it a couple minutes just to see if any questions do pop into your chat, give you an opportunity to answer those. In the meantime, let me take back over sharing. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Again, as Blake mentioned, feel free to reach out to him with any questions. You can also reach out to us at Njevity at sales@njevity.com, or I'm showing our phone number here as well. I'd be happy to help answer those questions or help direct you to Blake as well. But again, Blake, thank you so much for taking the time to take us through those tools today. You know, we really love our relationship with Rockton and know you guys are doing some really great stuff with Dynamics GP. And for those of you who have joined, oh yes, we got a question. Is Blake Mark's son? think we're all.
We get this one a lot, and it's just a coincidence. We just happen to be exactly 30 years apart and have the same last name. No, I'm a joke. I'm just joking. Mark is my father. The father of Rockton and the father of Blake.
Right on. Good question, Lisa. Am I missing any more? I can't, for some reason, I can't extend my. Oh, do Njevity users have auditor? Blake, or no, that's it. Do Njevity users have auditor? We do not include auditor in PowerGP Online. That is something that is an additional cost, but we can certainly help you add it to your subscription if you are on a PowerGP Online subscription edition, or provide the perpetual licensing quote as well. So good question, Beth. So if I'm missing anything else, say for some reason I can't extend this question box over. It's super small. Looks like that is it. So I will continue on with my wrap up. So again, thank you, Blake. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us today. Hopefully you liked what we saw. I know, like I said, we really like and value our relationship with Rockton. So again, feel free to reach out, sales@njevity.com, phone number there. Otherwise, we'll let everybody go a little bit early. And again, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Take care, everyone.